What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Hustling Sideways podcast. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love, and I'm a keynote and motivational speaker. And we're back
And this is,
on
we're
Riverside.
back.
Yeah.
Yes, this is episode 119 of the Hustling Sideways podcast. Remember when we said we were only going to do 5?
Yeah, and that it appears that's changed that plan, and we did a couple more, and I'm flexible. I'm a flexible plan guy, but no, it's great stuff, and we're excited. And also, I should mention that like we're in the middle of March Madness right now, and man, is it a lot of fun? We got an awesome men's tournament, an awesome women's tournament. I'm just a huge college basketball fan, and if you haven't watched these games, I feel bad for you because you're missing out on some awesome stuff. So tune in. I feel like I should be paid by college
I was
basketball
about to
for saying
say,
it before we start this
I
on,
like,
but it's important.
yeah, maybe we can secure some NIL money for you, Jim,
That's
just
right.
to promote
Yes, I
March
still
Madness.
have
You know, they
eligibility.
really haven't done enough advertising either.
I'm a red shirt senior. I'm a fifth year senior, so I'm ready to get out there. I have
There we
shorts
go.
on. Let's roll, man. Let's do it.
Technically, I think, do we have college eligibility? We never played
We
college
might,
basketball at
honestly,
Marquette.
like with how these rules are,
How
I
does that
we
work?
might, but
All right,
a
we're gonna
boy
have to
can
figure
dream.
that out.
A boy
But
can dream.
anyway, we are going completely the opposite of that. We're going into my world today.
Yeah,
We're
perfect.
talking music today. We have a guest that is somebody I first discovered as a saxophonist with a band here in Milwaukee. Since then, she's struck out on her own. She's done her own solo thing. She's a singer, songwriter, musician, just all around creative person. And we're going to talk today about being a full time musician. Julia Graves, welcome to Hustling Sideways.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for calling in. What part of Milwaukee are you calling in from? Sometimes we have people call in from all over the country, but what part of Milwaukee are you in?
I live in Bayview.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
Could have
yeah,
did this at the
Bayview.
house. I didn't think about it.
Yeah,
Oh well,
I,
it's all good.
I totally should just go to Allen's now. We're all within a little bit of each other. I'll meet you
If
guys
you, I would
there.
say if you leave now, by the end of the episode, we'll just do it all remote. We
That's
should do
right.
that one time where we just
We
all
should.
record it on our phones and then try to just meet up by the end of it. Okay, I digress. Um, Julia, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, I saw you in the band Wonderful Bluffer. I know since then you've struck out onto your own solo projects and things like that. Um, Want to know just kind of your background too, because I think, I meet a ton of musicians, but I don't meet a ton of classically trained musicians. So want to know just a little bit about, how you got involved with music in the first place.
Yeah, so music is something that I have always been around. I grew up in a very musical family. My dad is a guitar player, and my mom is also a saxophone player. She really goes hard with the multiple woodwinds stuff. Growing up, she would take us to hear my dad play all around Milwaukee. So
Mhm.
it's just kind of something that I grew up in, and then as I got older, I started doing theater, and then I started playing saxophone, and then around when I was 13, that's when I started playing guitar. And I really only wanted to play guitar because I was singing, and I wanted to like accompany myself. Yeah, it's just something that I've always done, and it's always been around. Very luckily, I've had the
Mhm.
opportunity for that. So yeah, it's just kind of
Did
it's
it
just
take
always been
like
here.
was it like a lot of practice, or did some of this come naturally to you? Like how hard was it to get good at what you
Um, well, it is a lot of practice, and I still don't feel like I have gotten good yet. But I'm sure like every musician can relate to that on some level, because you can always be doing better, and that's just kind of like the mindset of like, okay, this is where I'm deficient, this is where I want to be. How do we get there? Um, so I have been doing this from the time I was like 8 or 9.
Mhm.
Um, so I treat it more of like a lifelong pursuit. I've had to change my mindset from like, oh, I need to get good, I need to practice all the time, I need to do this, and this. Um, it's I've had to change my mindset from sprint to marathon. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if that like answers your question,
It does.
but you
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I can very much relate to that.
Good.
I was very much in a sprint mindset in the first few years of running, breaking and entering, and then saying, okay, we got to re-figure out a whole bunch of things along the way. Uh, Being a performer, are you somebody that's naturally extroverted, that you were always like the kid that was like the little wild child that needed the attention? Or was it, because I mean, like growing up around parents that are on stage, I would assume that you see that and you're just like, well, that's naturally, I should, want it about you. But you could also be the entire opposite. So what was it for you?
yeah. So I've actually been naturally just very shy. I was a very shy person growing up, and it took me a long time to like get out of my shell.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that my parents like kind of helped me get out of my shell was to introduce me into like doing theater. And when I started doing theater, that's when my personality started to actually come through. But when it came to like playing music, I think in general there's a lot of musicians who are shy and they're very very reserved as people. But when you put them on stage, and when you put them in their element, that's when they are like, okay, yes, I can be myself and I can create and I can do my thing. And then when all of that's said and done, they go back to being kind of reserved and with your blinders on.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I really do believe that there is a difference between being a performer and being a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And being a performer is something that not everyone wants to be. Some people just want to be a musician. And
Right.
something I've had to learn, like if I want to be successful, I need to learn how to be a performer, which means that I need to be comfortable being myself and then also pushing myself to be a little bit more extroverted.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, and
awesome.
it takes so much confidence to do both of those things, because like you said, they are not, mutually exclusive, and they can kind of bounce off of each other. I mean, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like, so I know that there's like session musicians that just love to stay in the studio, but then there's also people that are on, especially in Milwaukee, you kind of have to perform on stage. There's not
Yeah.
probably a career in just being a studio musician at this point, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even actually watching you perform over the years, I've seen that you kind of come out of your shell, in the sense of like, I knew you first as a saxophonist, and then I remember there were, I don't remember what concert it was, but there was one where you came out and did a Pat Benatar cover, where you took
Yes.
took the microphone solo, and I was like, oh, this means, you know what I mean, like this is like a whole different element to your game, to be able to go and it's a vulnerable thing to do, to stand there with a microphone and sing for a crowd, especially to even not have an instrument, to just go and sing. What, I guess, was your first performance that felt comfortable to do that sort of thing, I guess?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I don't remember um what that performance was. I just remember I remember being at a show with JoJo Scott, the guitar
Mm-hmm.
player in Wonderful Bluffer, and there was a band that was playing Heartbreaker. That's the song. I loved that
Yeah.
song. We were listening to this, and I looked at him and I said, I want to do that song. I want to sing that. And he was like, okay. And then it took a long time. Like rehearsals like took a long time because I was like just so uncomfortable with singing and not having
Mm-hmm.
my saxophone. Because there was a long time where I was like kind of hiding behind my saxophone. It's like
Mm-hmm.
not really,
Mm-hmm.
you're not really like using words, you're not using your voice to play. You can just kind of blow air and like do your
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Right. No,
um,
I get that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so I think about like Jim is also a motivational speaker, and it's
Yeah.
you and
mhm.
a mic, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not naturally on stage person, but if Jim and I are doing a live podcast, I have the comfort of knowing somebody else is there, right? Whereas you have that comfort of knowing that your saxophone is always there. You can always play, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what
it
like
just
Go ahead, Julia. Sorry, I cut
No,
you
I
off.
was just gonna say I can't remember exactly like it wasn't like one performance where I just started being comfortable because
Yeah.
I it was a whole process where I had to learn how to be comfortable doing it,
Hmm.
and that just required me to just do it over and over and over again, and it was a lot of discomfort. But I did it. I did it.
That means you're growing. That's what discomfort is. I
Yeah.
love that. And
Yeah.
Alan mentioned some of the work I do. Like I have to get in the zone to like go out and
Hmm.
be in front of students. What does it look like for you before you enter this space of music, of performance? Like, do you have a thing that you do or a routine that gets like your head centered and ready to roll, or you just kind of walk out and do it? Like everyone's so different. What is that routine? A half hour before you're going out, like do you have something that you do that really gets you going, like a song you listen to or anything along those lines that helps you out?
Well, if I are you asking from like a saxophone from a saxophone performance like standpoint
Yeah,
or from
let's
like
start
a
there.
vocalist?
Let's do saxophone, and then if you have a different response for vocalists, I'd love to hear that too.
Yeah, so I have found that I have different routines for both. Like if I am going to go play my saxophone and I have to prepare myself, obviously like I try to do my warm-up routine. So like every time I practice, um I have like a set routine of warm-ups and things that I do just to feel like comfortable and in the headspace of like playing saxophone. I have to make sure everything's like warmed up here, like
Hmm.
in my face. Um, and that looks completely different from what I do vocally. Vocally, usually I do warm ups in my car because they're like they can be I think pretty. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna ignore it. Um, they can be I think pretty annoying. Like I know I'm someone where it's like when I hear a vocalist warm up, I'm like they're doing their
Oh,
thing. So
right.
I try to hide my vocal warm ups. But it's that's a routine of like doing stuff that I learned when I was in theater.
Right.
And then also just like singing along to songs that I know are going to like warm up my voice but won't kill it. And
Hmm.
that's really just like singing along to a song in a car.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it. Hey, we all do it. I'm,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
turn on One Direction and you put the windows down, and I'm
Like
blowing. It's great.
I keep the windows up. I'm like I can't have anyone hear me.
Yeah, I feel that. No, I think it's cool because like so many folks that have this type of passion and craft that you do that you're really good at, like there it's so subjective on how you get ready to
Mhm.
do it and what works for people. And we found like over the years doing this, like people just have, some folks are just like I walk out and see what happens. Others are very methodological, and it's always so fascinating to me of like what gets you in that space to be ready to do your thing that you love doing.
Mhm.
That's what you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like it is so different. Alan, you have things that you do. I know we've talked about before. You go out and do a show.
Yeah.
I have my own kind of things, and that's what I think that's cool where the passion comes from with it
Hmm.
too.
Yeah. One thing I also I think about too with you is so I'm usually pretty hesitant on bringing musicians onto hustling sideways, just because I know that every musician has like a side hustle, right? Like it that is many of their side hustles. The reason I was like very cool about wanting to bring you on, or really wanted to bring you on, was talking about what goes into being a full time musician because it's a constant hustle. You know what I mean? Like, it is. But I've seen, the things that you've had to do outside of music now, especially to pursue this full time, which, includes like not only, teaching music, but I've seen you have to, working on creating content for social media to help build awareness to the music that you're making. Like I could say that to just about anybody on the content side, but I think you are somebody that is figuring out the business side and actively trying to get better at it, which is something that I applaud totally.
Thank you.
When for you did you realize like, okay, if I'm gonna do this full time, it has to be more than just practice and perform. Like there has to be all of these other extra things that go with it.
Before this is a great question, and honestly, I knew it like when I was 18. So,
Hmm.
like, when I was really young, I knew if I want to be a musician, if I want to be a creative person, I need to have skills that are outside of music. So, all of the skill, all of the technique, everything that I had to have up here as a musician, double that with learning, your everyday skills that you need to have like an office job.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, and I knew this, and I got my first bachelor's degree in advertising, actually,
Okay.
because I knew I was going to have to I knew I was going to have to study uh, how to like how to market. I knew I was going to
Hmm.
have to study persuasive writing. I knew I was going to have to study like the power of words and how to do this and how to do that. And I had internships, and I had whole jobs that didn't have anything to do with creating music.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that also is a skill that I have been developing since I was a teenager. Like, they've really gone hand in hand. And
Hmm.
there are there were there are times where I focus more on one and then I go back to the other. So it's like an oscillating like thing of like, okay, so right now I'm focusing on this. My musicianship might take a hit, but this is what's going to put me forward, and I'm just going to have to be okay with where I am as a musician and as an artist to push myself in this direction. Then
Right.
when I'm settled over here, then I'll have, the time, and I can get back to, practicing more, figuring out what I want to do musically and creatively.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like, I think that's so cool in the sense that you get it, that there is more to this. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because that's just the reality of, I think, being a musician, being creative is there also has to be things that pay the bills on top of that more consistently. And you're figuring that part out of it, which is cool to see.
Yes.
One of those things though is you teach music, you teach lessons. How did that, I guess, when did that come about in terms of like finding students and things like that?
Yeah, so actually, it was, and I will never forget this. It was in the fall of 2021.
Hmm.
So I had just gotten a full-time job with a company based in Kansas City. It was a nonprofit, and luckily it was remote work. So I
Hmm.
my office was my bedroom, and I spent at a minimum 80 hours a week
Oh.
sleeping, waking up, going to work, trying my best, and it was a job in advertising.
Hmm.
Hmm.
At the same time, so that was my 9 to 5. So I had a steady paycheck. And then I was like, okay, I need to be able to do something like with music. So that's when I got a job. I got my 5 to 9 teaching beginning guitar at Guitar Center, fall of 2021. And I did both of those jobs for about a year. And that year was very pivotal because I
Hmm.
found like, okay, so I have my whole degree in advertising. I spent the last 4 years really building up my resume with internships and just office work experience. But I had always wanted to be a music teacher. I always wanted to teach music. So I didn't really know what I was doing when I was teaching beginning guitar. I just knew that I could play, I could sing, and I could teach kids chords.
Hmm.
And in teaching, I was like, okay, if I am telling these kids that they can like go do this and they can play songs, they can be creative, they can do whatever they want, why am I not truly doing that?
Hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, so then that really pushed me, that it really inspired me to do what I could to save up for my second bachelor's, go back to school, really study music, and get a solid understanding of what I'm doing, because I had already been
Mhm.
doing it. I was just like, what is this? What am I doing here? What am I hearing? What's in my head that I don't know?
Right.
Um, so yeah, I that that teaching and working, that was a whole experience in and of itself. I was very burned out because I was
Hmm.
also gigging on top of that,
Oh, yeah.
working
Yeah.
9 to 5, teaching 5 to 9, and then having gigs on the weekends, like no break, constant. That's the sprinting that I was talking about.
Yep.
Hmm.
But that really, the teaching at Guitar Center really pushed me to figure my stuff out musically.
For sure. Now,
Hmm.
when you're doing that, now, like, full disclosure, I can play guitar, but I cannot teach it to save my life. I also cannot, I can't read music. I know I can read it, but not like
Hmm.
in time, you know what I mean? Fast enough to know what I'm doing. But I can tell you where chords are, but that's it, or where notes are on a scale. Um, but I could never teach it because the same thing is just like I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know enough chords to say. Did you find though that because music kind of comes now naturally to you at this point that teaching was its whole different animal in the sense of you had to relay that to somebody now, like the things that you just process, you have to now relay that to somebody who is just trying to learn it.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to be a teacher, um, but that meant that I really needed to know what I was doing. So music has always come naturally to me, but I didn't have an understanding of it, and I really wanted that because I didn't know how else I was going to teach it. Like if you can't explain something, then you don't truly know it. You don't truly understand it. And I wanted to have an
Mm-hmm.
understanding not just of myself, but of what I am doing. And that I always knew was going to help me be able to communicate um, what I had, because I haven't always been the best at talking. And for me, because music comes naturally to me, if I can explain music, if I can explain what's going on in here, then I have an easier time relating to other people.
Mm-hmm. Do you only teach guitar, or did you only teach guitar, or do you teach saxophone too? Because I would assume that there's also another whole translation of one instrument versus the other to have to teach people or to try and convey that to them.
Yeah, I really don't teach guitar anymore. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
big fan of teaching guitar just because it's not my main instrument.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I actually studied and I played a lot more saxophone and flute and clarinet within the past probably 7 to 8 years. Um, and the guitar playing really, took a back seat. I always thought of like guitar playing and my songwriting and my artistry as something like on the back burner for a
Mm-hmm.
very long time because I was really uncomfortable with myself as a person. So I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna focus
Sure.
I'm gonna focus my creative energy and my employable skill on something else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I really developed my understanding of saxophone and like the whole multiple woodwind thing. So yeah, I really only teach saxophone, flute, and clarinet now because that's what I focused on. And then like my all of my artistry and my guitar playing, that's still like that's something that I kind of keep to myself. I don't really teach
Mm-hmm.
that.
Sure. Well, I mean, you're still teaching people three different instruments, and
Hmm.
very versatile in that sense. Jim, I don't know if you play anything.
I
I
don't.
can. I'm also lying when I say guitar that I can play guitar. I can play bar chords and figure songs out,
Yeah.
but not like proper chords. And I can play a little bit of drums, and that's about it. So I really am not a proper musician in that sense by any means.
I mean,
So.
that's pretty much what I do too. Like I say I play guitar. I really think that there's a difference in being a guitar player and being
Hmm.
someone who can play guitar. Because
Yeah,
being
I
a
would
guitar
fall more in
player,
that bucket.
yeah, being a guitar player is like, okay, this is what I'm doing because guitar is a hard instrument. Like I'm not a
Mhm.
guitar player.
Yeah, I
I
tried
can
it.
play and I can accompany myself, but guitar player mindset is not something that's me. No, I play
Mhm.
I strum chords.
Yeah, that's a good way to put
Yeah,
it. I can
yeah.
strum chords, and that is about it.
I was
I
thinking back. I took guitar lessons when I was in third grade, and I got overwhelmed and I stopped. But that was the extent to my to it. But I'm curious, Julia, have you ever had any like students that you've taught any of these instruments that you keep up with and or have like gone on and done this at like a high level, or anyone that's like been like a story that you're really proud of that has taken some of the skills you've taught and used it like in a big way?
Not yet because
Hmm.
I've really only been teaching saxophone for 3 years.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
I started teaching some of this because I teach at Brass Bell
Okay.
up in Whitefish Bay, and all of the people that I teach are kids and teenagers. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
they haven't I haven't really been able to see any of my students develop because I haven't been teaching quite that long.
Gotta do a little
That being
while.
Mhm.
said,
Yeah.
I do have students who have stuck with me for the past like 3 going on 4 years. So I'm
Awesome.
probably going to be in that, phase where it's like, oh, I've been teaching you for a long time and
That's right. Yeah.
you are going off to college now. Like,
Uh, that's
you
got to be
know,
so cool to like watch them grow and like in that time frame of like
oh
as
yeah.
humans and also just as musicians that they just like are getting better. That's got to be so fun to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
Um, that is one that I wish I could learn how to play, and I don't know I wouldn't know the first thing beyond it. Like beyond like your fourth grade recorder, that's where my woodwinds entirely stopped. That
Yeah,
was
that's where it stops.
probably hot cross buns. I got you all day on that.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
else past that, and even then, I probably don't even remember it now, honestly. Um, you're also, I mean, learning the business side of it, like we said, but you're also managing to get out and play regular gigs too. I guess for the non musicians, like try and talk about how much time goes into researching and booking gigs and trying to get your name out there to coordinate shows, because that's its own whole separate job within itself, it feels like.
Hmm. Yeah, I wish I had like I wish I had more gigs. I wish I could have 1 gig a week. I wish I
Mhm.
had like a steady rotation. Honestly, having a residency at a place that would be amazing, but
Hmm.
it's so difficult to stay on top of everything.
Mhm.
Once you find like one or two places that you can go back to consistently. For me, that's been Vendetta Coffee Bar
Mhm.
and Art Bar in River
Okay.
West to some extent. And then there are a couple other places that I'm still trying to work my way into. But really, like, a lot of it is like, if you want to do this, if you want to be there, you need to research, like, who's already playing there
Hmm.
um, and show up.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a big
That's my
one. Showing
research.
up. Yeah.
And get there. Yeah.
Going out, talking to the people who are already playing there.
Hmm.
Like,
Mhm.
do your research. Listen to their music when you meet them.
Mhm.
Be ready to like say, "Oh, I heard this song," or like, "Oh, I saw you post about this." A lot of it is just like if you're already mindlessly scrolling on social media and you're not using it as a tool, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
You should
Absolutely.
if you are going to doom scroll,
Yeah.
like you can doom scroll intentionally, and
That's
like
right.
if you're just like looking, it's like, oh, this person is posting this person's doing that, oh, they're playing here, okay, cool, boom, write it in your calendar and then
Yeah.
go.
And just do
Mhm.
Oh,
it.
I like
just
the
show up.
idea. I like the idea of intentionally doom scrolling because that is something I would.
You're doing it
That's
anyway.
probably a good portion of my job. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
is to intentionally doom scroll. Did I also see that? Did you just did an open mic too that you just hosted,
Yes.
right, or coordinated?
Yes. Actually, that turned out to be such a great event. Like, I was not expecting it to just be that like energetic, and not that it was like super high energy, because it's a spot where I want to be able to host artists, musicians, poets, comedians, whatever you do, you are welcome to this spot, and I would like the audience there to listen and give respect to each artist, not just as like an artist, but also as they are people, as an individual. I want to be part of that's kind of what I want to create within the community, because a lot of these open mics and a lot of the open jams, like the same people show up, which is not bad, but you go, you have a drink, and then you talk to your friends or you talk to new people. I haven't really experienced an open mic where you go and you sit down and you listen with open ears and you listen to what these people are saying. That's the kind of community that I want, and that's, I feel like, what exactly happened last night. So that's why I think it was such a successful event. And we had an online submission form. All of the spots were like all of the spots that were available for performers to take, they were filled up before the event even started.
That's
so great. Yeah, it was.
That's great, because then you know that there's a built-in group. You know what I mean? It's not
yes.
like
Yeah.
As somebody that puts together shows, if you can know that there are people coming in the door, that is great.
Yeah, and it also helped with it helped a lot with like just planning and logistics. Like, okay, we can expect to have 11 people.
Yeah.
And then from there, some people don't show up, and it was raining. Right. Parking in the third ward is
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So even with the rain and the parking, everyone still showed up, and we even went past our time a little bit. So it was it was really a good night.
Do you have more of those on the calendar? We can plug them. I mean, if you
no, definitely. I am planning to host each open mic on either the third or fourth Thursday of every month until the end of the year. So there's still they're going to be happening at an art gallery and studio called 100% Milwaukee in the third ward, and they are going to go from 6 to 8 p.m. And if there is, since this is the first one, if the events continue to be successful and a lot of people show up, then I'm going to look into maybe extending the time from like 6 to 8 to 6 to 8:30 or 6 to 9 p.m. just based on who shows up and how many people want to perform. Because,
cool.
It was truly that great.
That's awesome. And like you said, great to have that energy in the room of like just purely creative, purely people that want to listen.
Yeah.
And you bring in music to a setting that doesn't have music, which is something I can always advocate for, Thank you for coming on and doing this. If people want to know more about your music and what you're putting out, where is the best place to go and find you, follow you, all of those things?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm posting more lately, at Julia Graves Music. I also have a website, juliagravesmusic.com, where you can read about you have access to links to all of my music. You can read my bio. You can kind of see what my background is. I have services listed, so I've got a song list. I've got lessons. I've got, if you want to hire me for studio work as a saxophone player, I've got all of that on there. I'm not really on the TikTok grind much anymore. I had to deactivate it because it got to be too much, and I was losing my focus. I was not doom scrolling intentionally.
That was just doom scrolling. That's fair. That's what we're all doing on TikTok. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram, my website. You can find me on Facebook, but all of the stuff on Facebook is the same as Instagram. So
Awesome.
really,
Yeah.
Instagram is my portfolio.
Got it. Very cool. Well, thank you for coming on, like you said, once again, for
Yeah.
doing this. Um, Jim and I are also the Hustling Sideways podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening for the first time or the 119th time, thank you for doing that. You can find us on all the social media as well. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. We are on LinkedIn, YouTube, and then all of the other places. Just search for Hustling Sideways. We pop up, which is great to know. If you want to be a guest on this show, you can do that. You can send us an email. It is hustlingsideways@gmail.com. And Jim,
Keep on hustling.
we will see you next week.
Peace.